Good afternoon and welcome to CVM Live, the noon edition on CVM Television and online at cvmtv.com. I'm Whitney Levy. Remember, you can download our CVM TV Smart app from the Google Play Store and the App Store. We begin with a developing situation. The controversial renaming of a section of the North-South Highway in honor of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga went ahead as scheduled this morning. The ceremony, which was held at Unity Valley Toll Plaza in St. Ann, was attended by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, members of Parliament and other groups. The North-South Highway was constructed over a 3-year period at a cost of some US $600 million and was officially opened in 2016. Meanwhile, earlier this morning, ahead of the ceremony, there was a protest at the location of Mandela leg of the North-South Highway. Supporters of the opposition, the People's National Party, the PNP, protested against the highway being named in honor of the former Jamaica Labour Party Prime Minister Edward Seaga. The comrades chanted "Highway thief, highway robbery." They argue that the highway should instead have been named in honor of another former Prime Minister, Portia Simpson-Miller. In this CVM Live follow-up, Mayor of Savannah Lamar, Bertel Moore, has raised concerns regarding the decision of the High Court to have illegal occupants vacate property in Westmoreland after an ongoing dispute between the landowner and the occupants. He is now calling on the government to use any other mechanisms in ensuring that the affected individuals are not mistreated by those in authority. CVM's Khadija Thomas has our report.
Just last week, the High Court ordered that the occupants on the 867-acre property in Westmoreland leave the land, and failure to do so would give the owners the right to recover their property. In this ongoing dispute, the mayor of Savannah Lamar, Bertel Moore, says he's not in agreement with the decision, which renders many homeless.
You have people living on a property for 60, 70 years. I think from the first incept, when they were selling the land, the citizen should have gotten the first preference to buy that property. It should not have been sold to any one person. Cares not how much money they have.
Mayor Moore says those in authority must consider the social status of squatters and should have purchased the land for them.
The government at this time should step in and do what is right for the people of Little Bay, Brighton and Salmon Point. I will fight to the end with them to see justice prevail for those people.
He says there are individuals who reside on the land which was occupied by their parents, and those in authority should find ways to negotiate with the people.
It just doesn't go like that. People must get a chance to live, poor people especially. This is not all for rich people, this country, right?
Khadija Thomas for CVM Live.
In a CVM Live update, the Ministry of Health, in seeking to clarify the status of dengue-related deaths in the island so far in 2018, it is now reporting that there is one presumed dengue-related death since the start of the year. In an earlier release 2 days ago, the ministry said there were no confirmed cases. However, in a new correspondence, ministry stresses that the one case referred to is presumed based on a positive result from an antibody blood test, IgM. However, not from the equally important polymerase chain reaction test. Both tests are needed to confirm dengue. The ministry also says only 2 other reported dengue cases fit the illness's clinical case definition. However, they had no positive dengue tests and so remain listed as suspected cases. The Prime Minister is set to attend at least 2 high-level meetings in the coming months. The revelation was made by Communications Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, Robert Morgan, on Monday. CVM's Nicoy Wilson reports.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness will be attending the G20 summit to be held in Argentina later this year. He will also be attending the Special Ocean Summit. This invitation follows the Prime Minister's attendance at the G7 summit last week, where he raised a number of concerns relating to climate change. Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister, Robert Morgan, during CVM's discussion on Monday, says Prime Minister Holness is championing the cause for developing countries.
As the climate change discussion evolves, you see a more fast-paced discussion and desire by developing countries and developed countries to fast come to conclusions. Remember, Jamaica is also a signatory to the Paris Accord. And by 2020, several things are going to kick in with that, and countries are going to be forced to make changes. So Jamaica has to advocate in these fora to see how we can best partner with these international partners.
The communications director also said this is necessary as Jamaica and the Caribbean at large face a significant risk from climate change, referencing the impact of the 2017 hurricanes in Grenada.
For example, when Grenada was devastated, I think the damage was about 200% of its GDP. Grenada was not in a position to recover and has still to a great extent not recovered. And what the Prime Minister was speaking to was, on one hand, the economic vulnerability of countries within the region, and on the other hand, seeking a partnership with G7 countries to see how we could work together, both G7 and small developing states.
The influence of small countries on climate change, he notes, is insignificant when compared to larger, more industrialized countries. He also pointed out that countries like Jamaica are the ones that will be initially impacted.
Impact on climate change in the world is negligible. But a country like the United States' impact on climate change is significant. But countries like Jamaica will be the ones in the first instance to suffer the most damage.
Nicole Wilson, CVM Live.
In a CVM Live follow-up, the Education Ministry has responded to the matter involving a teacher who was questioning how the ministry would recover funds after she received a letter stating that she had been overpaid over a 6-year period. Just last week, CVM Live had brought the matter to your attention involving the primary school teacher who had received a letter from the Education Ministry stating that they will be recovering funds from her salary due to an overpayment of over $160,000 between June of this year to March 2019. CVM Live spoke with the Public Relations and Communications Officer for the Education Ministry, who advised our news team that the ministry will be intervening in the matter to assist the teacher. They say the issue concerning the overpayment is unfortunate and they will be in contact with the teacher in ensuring that a favorable turnaround can be made. From the farm to the shelf, Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw says Jamaica has the capacity to supply the local market and eliminate the importation of products completely. As CVM's Vaughan Thorpe reports, the minister is predicting a fruitful future for Jamaica's agriculture sector.
Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw says knowing the economic importance of agriculture is critical in tackling the issue of food imports. About 60% of the island's food imports are directed to the hotel, restaurant and institutional sectors. Shaw reiterated the need to maximize the opportunity to put the nation's soil to use.
We have so many things that we grow here, fruits, vegetables, and what I was inspired by today is to see the creativity associated with processed foods that coming in all kinds of things, sauces, spices, wines, jams, jellies.
Farming has been the main economic activity in the parish, and Shaw commended the farmers, youth in particular, who took the opportunity to create viable products to export.
It shows the potential now, not just for the local market, but for us to process things for export to the export markets and earn foreign exchange in the process.
And with this view, Shaw is looking to reap significant benefits, but also calls for an all-hands-on-deck approach.
We just have to get our act together, do things, organize things properly, get the large businesses and large processors, large growers, get them in partnerships with the small growers, and we can create wonderful products for the local and the export market.
Vaughan Thorpe, CVM Live.
In this breaking news item, CVM Live understands that millions of dollars worth of uncustomed cigarettes were a short while ago confiscated from a house in Westgates Hill, Montego Bay during an anti-narcotics operation. The operation, which began at about 10 o'clock, is still ongoing at this time. And CVM Live understands an adult male has been taken into custody. We'll have more on this developing story during our CVM Live evening edition. And the narcotics police are also reporting that Richard Clark of Kilmarnock, St. Elizabeth, who was arrested on November 14, 2014 at Lancaster Avenue, St. Andrew, for breaches of the Dangerous Drugs Act, yesterday pleaded guilty to the offences of possession of ganja and dealing in ganja, and was sentenced to pay a fine of $15,000 or 3 months and $300,000 or 3 months, respectively. No evidence was offered for conspiracy, while the offences of taking steps preparatory to export ganja and trafficking were withdrawn. Clark was arrested after ganja weighing over 400 pounds was found in the trunk of his car. Detectives attached to the Halfway Tree Criminal Investigations Branch have charged a second man in connection with the murder of Constable Darren Henry on the morning of May 22 at a hotel on Waterloo Road. He is 22-year-old Eugene Brown of Tulip Lane, Denham Town in Kingston. Brown is scheduled to appear in the St. Andrew Parish Court sometime today, where he will join accused Omar, who was previously charged for the murder of the police constable. Omar Ricketts, also known as Demus or Alex, is a vendor of a Chisholm Avenue, Kingston 13 address. Police Constable Darren Henry, who was attached to the Motorized Patrol Division but who was on suspension from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, was reportedly working as a security guard at the establishment at the time he was attacked. Reports are he was alerted to a motor car which had aroused the curiosity of some persons at the location. When the policeman went to make checks, he was greeted with gunfire and shot multiple times. On the international scene, U.S. President Donald Trump says his historic talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un that ended in a joint agreement were tremendous. The signed document includes a pledge from Kim to rid the Korean peninsula of nuclear weapons. Here's more from Al Jazeera.
No one was quite sure what to expect from this summit.
Negotiating on behalf of his people, a very worthy, very smart negotiator.
It was a day laden with history. Kim Jong-un seemed almost overawed by the occasion. For a time, the watching world wasn't even sure what he and President Trump were signing. Act 1 in this diplomatic drama had begun almost 5 hours earlier, with the handshake that may have changed the course of history. President Donald Trump had said he'd know within a minute of meeting Kim Jong-un if he'd get on with him. So this was the moment he began sizing him up. The start, perhaps, of an improbable relationship in improbable times. Two nuclear-armed leaders, one a former real estate developer and reality TV star, the other an international pariah.
And it's my honor, and we will have a terrific relationship, I have no doubt.
Speaking through an interpreter, Kim Jong-un said the way here had not been easy.
The old practices and prejudices worked against us, but we are here now.
They met at 9 a.m. local time in Singapore, so prime time viewing in the United States. Experts around the world will be studying these images frame by frame, looking for deeper meaning.
Excellent relationship.
But no answers to questions about whether Kim will give up his nuclear weapons. It is only a few months ago that these two leaders were hurling insults at one another and threatening nuclear annihilation. But Kim, who for security reasons has barely stepped out of his country since becoming leader, spent just under 40 minutes in a room with the US president with just their interpreters present.
Mr. Chairman, it's a great honor to be with you.
Later, the two leaders were joined by their advisors. So far, so good. Trump predicting that the two would have tremendous success. Kim told him that the past had held the two sides back and that these talks were a prelude to peace. But it's going to take more than just one meeting to realise the verifiable, irreversible destruction of the North's huge nuclear arsenal. And Kim wants something else, a guarantee that the US will not try to topple him if he disarms. But in the garden, all seemed amicable as the two leaders strolled and talked together.
President, we're going right now for a signing.
Before that, though, there was something Trump was keen for Kim to see, the inside of his official limousine, known as the Beast. Some worry that this historic moment is eclipsing North Korea's harsh human rights history.
You know, this is a fundamental freedom. This is a principle of human existence. And, you know, for Donald Trump to say that Kim Jong-un is now a nice guy when he's got 120,000 people in gulags in the mountains is just not on.
Few diplomatic encounters have been so eagerly anticipated. The question now is whether all this will prove to be more than just a photo opportunity. Adrian Brown, Al Jazeera, Singapore.
Thanks for staying with us. It's now time for sports. Following a convincing win in their opening game, Jamaica will look to make it 2 wins in as many games when they take on the Windward Islands in their second game of the Cricket West Indies Regional Women's T20 Tournament at Kensington Oval at 2:30 this afternoon. Barbados will face the Leeward Islands in the second game of a doubleheader at Sabina Park. That game is scheduled to start at 6:30.
One overs. Jodie and Morgan scored a 19 and the Taylor got 16. Natasha McLean and the Shedin Nation were left unbeaten on scores of 16 and 15 respectively. Captain Taylor believes her team can go all the way.
Well, a convincing win like this would definitely send a message to all the teams, and I think that's exactly what we want. You know, we playing at home, we playing in our backyard, and we want to come out on top.
Cup holders Trinidad and Tobago were impressive in their win over the Leeward Islands. TNT posted 132 for 6 with Stacey and King scoring an unbeaten 38. She got good support from Renice Boyce 25 and Brittany Cooper 24. The Leewards in reply could only manage at 64 for 5. Shebarik Baskar was not out on 31 against King 2 for 13.
Our main objective was to just go out there and make sure that we hit all areas. I think we did that. The pitch didn't really play the way we wanted it to. The ball wasn't coming on, but I think Stacey and King really went out there and make sure she put a good score on the board for the team.
Last season's beaten finalists, the Barbados registered an 18-run win over the Windwards. Deandra Dottin 40 led the Bajans to 101 all out. Kiana Josephs, Venetia King and Erita Peters bagged 2 wickets apiece. The Windwards were restricted to 83 for 8, with Josephs and Peters getting into double figures. Haley Matthews picked up 2 for 20, while Shanika Bruce and Shamila Connell also got 2 wickets each. Tuesday's games will see the Jamaicans facing the Windward Islands at Kensington Park at 2:30, while TNT will play Guyana in the opening game of another doubleheader at Sabina Park at 9:30 in the morning. The feature game will see Barbados going up against the Leewards at 6:30 p.m.
The Jamaica Olympic Association, the JOA, launched its 2 weeks of activities on Sunday with a service at the St. Andrew Parish Church. The celebrations are in part of the International Olympic Committee worldwide events, which happens over a 14-day period each year with various nations affiliated with the IOC. President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Christopher Samuda, says it's pleasing to start off in this way.
We assembled as a family, and we were well supported by our constituent members to give thanks for the service that the Lord has given us and that He has empowered us to do so. So we start off the week with a Thanksgiving service, and then the week, no, not this week, but the following week, we had the service today because next Sunday is Father's Day, and therefore we didn't want to impact too many family lives. So we had the service early, and then we are now going to begin the following week our celebrations. That, of course, will take the form of a forum of the UWI. It will also take the form of a 5K run on Saturday, which is in fact Olympic Day. And then we will also do Olympic Seascape, which will, of course, be the crowning event for the week. So all in all, we are looking for the support not only of our immediate Olympic family, but the extended family. Come out, celebrate with us, celebrate the principles, the virtues, the goodness that the Lord has provided for the movement. And let us impact lives in a very positive way.
He says that the association will be actively engaged to fast forward plans for next year.
We encourage as National Olympic Committees to celebrate Olympism in all facets, and therefore the Jamaica Olympic Association is no different. We wish, however, next year to make it a much larger event, to make it much more impactful island-wide. But this year has been a very good start for us as a new administration, and we look forward to the support of the public.
18 Basic School Athletics Championship is set to run off at the National Stadium on Wednesday. The event was launched at InSports and will offer prize money for the first time in the 18-year history of the event. CVM's Jermaine May tells us more.
And it really warms my heart to see these little youngsters, how excited they are. And in fact, they know the name of our athletes. They know the name of our elite athletes. Many said they wanted to be like Shelley-Ann Fraser. Some said they wanted to be like Usain Bolt.
And one of the reasons Jamaica has done so well and continues to excel in track and field is because sports is being promoted at this level. Sport is important at the basic school level, as research has shown that children learn best through play, and it is also the right of a child to provide it with facilities to play.
More than 2,000 youngsters from 86 schools will compete in this year's renewal, including defending champions at Torrington.
We're injury-free, praise to God, and we're coming in and just go enjoy ourselves as usual. We enjoy ourselves, and as I tell my kids them, just come, enjoy yourself, and just deliver, that's all.
Approximately $5 million has been invested into the program, with close to $1 million in prize money to be disbursed, and it's the first time teams will receive a monetary reward. The winning school will receive $50,000, second place $30,000 and the third $20,000. In addition, all participating schools will each receive $5,000.
It is my pleasure to embrace all those who have entered and to wish for you an injury-free, fun, and exciting championship.
Activities are scheduled to run from 9 to 3 p.m. each day. 25 finals will be contested throughout the 3 days, with the girls and the boys 4x1 relay open closing the show.
We have over 80 competing teams at this age group, between ages of 3 to 8. That's fantastic.
The championship will be staged inside the National Stadium for the first time, according to IPL General Manager Major Desmond Brown.
This is a way of identifying our young ones, and we want to make sure they don't damage themselves, so they have to run on a proper surface. Plus, because they're so young, once we're considering wherever a stadium is, but there's no shelter there, so we want them in somewhere it's cooler, so that's why we're having it in the National Stadium.
Jamaica marched into the final of Netball Jamaica's Major League with a 31-goal thrashing over Malliance A in their semi-final clash on Saturday night at the Leela Robinson courts. The Malliance outfit were no match for the Clarendon-based Jamaica, who dominated both ends of the court. Veteran goal shooter Elaine Davis and Marsha Murphy-Dawkins did most of the damage in the 55-24 win.
Team is performing, especially Anake, she's shooting well, and Tanisha Bernard moving excellent in the goal attack area. But we have a supplier to supply the ball inside of the circle, Nadia Brown. She played excellent, and then our defensive area, the first set of defense that we put on. on the court. Then, you know, they keep the score down because in one quarter they only scored 2 goals. So you see that the defense was working. And then I want to rotate players to see how best, you know, they can manage going back into the third and fourth quarter. So I pulled the 2 set of defenders and put in 2 set of defenders. So, you know, it didn't work in the last quarter. But nevertheless, we're going to take it to the final and see what we can work.
Meanwhile, Tivoli, who won the JN Bank Open League a few weeks ago, was just as impressive in securing their place in the championship game. Like Jamaica, they led from the opening whistle and went on to win by 27 goals, 61-34 the final score.
We knew that Arnett Garden was coming hard as we played them before, and it was a close match, but I mean, we held our own, so it wasn't very much difficult for us. We kept the lead and it was a good win.
You're in the finals now against Jamaica. How are you looking towards that?
Well, we have to be ready for that one because Jamaica is a very tough team to beat. They play with a lot of composure, and in order for us to win, we'd have to keep composure as well and protect our ball.
Tri-Hall Heights confirmed their final spot in the Sunshine Serial Intermediate League, getting the better of Determine 38-24. The other semi-finalists are Global A, who sent back Police 41-27, Blades A defeated Ebony 39-27, and Mallions B registered a 31-18 win over Alexandra. And that's CVM Live, the noon edition. CVM Live, the evening edition, will be on at 7:30 this evening, but just before that, at 6:30, we'll tell